Ever since the world was a world, some people seem to carry a presence that marks them out, something that goes beyond words and deeds. You, who are here today, may have already felt this way, realizing that your presence awakens reactions, not always understood in those around you. Being chosen is like carrying a unique essence, an energy that radiates intensity, and that, without you asking, ends up touching the depths of each person who crosses your path. But what many people don't understand is that this essence isn't something you can hide, nor is it something that's easy to ignore. It's a glow that illuminates, but also brings out shadows, not just your own, but those of everyone you meet. Imagine standing in front of a strong, bright flame. On the one hand, it brings warmth, comfort, and light, but on the other, its glow is so intense that it can reveal what was hidden in the darkness. The essence of the chosen works in a similar way. It is a force that directly touches what is deepest in the people around them, reflecting parts of themselves that they would often prefer to keep dormant. This involuntary touch in areas of discomfort generates an almost instinctive reaction, a mixture of fascination and fear. For many, it's a mixture of admiration and discomfort, as if they were facing something they can't fully understand, but feel deep down in their soul. This intensity, which you carry like a brand, needs no effort to be noticed. It's simply there, present in your actions, words, and even in your silence. And no matter how hard you try, there's no way to completely control the reactions it causes. People who are used to living with their own shadows may feel a natural affinity with this energy, understanding or at least respecting it. However, for those who avoid looking inside themselves, this presence can be destabilizing, as if you were a mirror challenging them to see what they prefer to ignore. And this unique essence not only awakens feelings, but also questions. Why do I feel this way around him, her? Or, what is different about him, her that makes me feel so exposed? These are questions that many may never verbalize, but which resonate deeply, often leaving those close to you in conflict with themselves. You may have already noticed suspicious looks, veiled comments, or even unexplained distancing. This happens because, unintentionally, your essence seems to work like a lens that magnifies the weaknesses and sensitive points of those around you. So, being in front of a chosen one is for many like being invited on an inner journey that not everyone is ready for. But at the same time, it is this authenticity that enlightens and guides, that opens up paths for those who, at some point, also seek this freedom. For the chosen ones, living with this unique essence means learning to deal with the intense reactions it provokes and understanding that, often, the fear or apprehension of others is nothing more than a reflection of a repressed desire to be authentic themselves. Have you ever noticed how your search for authenticity, or even the natural way in which you follow your own truth, causes a kind of shock in those who are deeply attached to the expectations of the system? Many of the chosen ones bring with them a free spirit, an ability to live according to what they believe in, without being so attached to what society demands or expects. It is this genuine attitude that bothers and even threatens those who live tied to the system, a system that dictates what we should think, feel, and desire. For these people, meeting someone who chooses to be authentic and values freedom can be like looking into a mirror that reflects a freedom they don't yet know how to live. While many are stuck in the idea of following the right path, the one imposed by social, family, or cultural norms, the chosen ones follow a more intuitive and internal path, often in the opposite direction to what most people consider safe or comfortable. This freedom, which you experience so naturally, silently questions what others have accepted as the only truth. It's not uncommon for those around you, even unconsciously, to see your independence as a challenge to their own choices, and perhaps to the concessions they've made to fit in with others' expectations. When they realize that you choose your own path, that you live without so many strings attached, they are forced to confront how much they too would like to do the same, but don't always have the courage. This inner autonomy, this ability to live according to one's own values, often arouses admiration, but also resistance. For those who live stuck in the system, the chosen ones can seem rebellious, almost like a deviation, that challenges the stability they have built for themselves. And this effect is all the more intense because by staying true to your purpose, you demonstrate something essential. Freedom is possible, but it requires the courage to face your own fears and leave your comfort zone. And that can be scarier than anything else, because it means giving up a lot of the security and certainties that society offers. Perhaps you've noticed that when you share your ideas, when you expose a freer view of the world, some people around you feel uncomfortable, change the subject, or even try to convince you that things don't work like that. But in reality, it's not your vision that bothers them, it's the freedom it represents. People who have become accustomed to living within the constraints of the system see the authenticity of the chosen ones as a challenge. It's as if, by living so fully and freely, you're silently breaking the rules, just by following your own truth. And for those who are still bound by these rules, this attitude is a reminder that they too have the choice to leave, but that in order to do so, they will need to confront their own fears and attachments. So, by walking through life with freedom, without being bound by the limitations of the system, you continue to inspire, and at the same time, destabilize, those who haven't yet found the courage to be who they really are. Have you ever noticed that, without any intention of challenging or destabilizing, your deeper vision of life and your experiences sometimes creates discomfort in others? This is one of the most intriguing aspects of the chosen ones. A keen, almost instinctive perception that often seems to penetrate the layers of superficiality that most people build up around themselves. This ability to see beyond appearances, to pick up on the feelings that others hide, or even to predict patterns and behaviors that are still latent, is a quality that is often not received with openness, but with trepidation. And it's not hard to understand why. For many people, facing hidden truths is something they avoid at all costs. We are in a society that often prefers the comfort of appearances and good intentions to the discomfort of truth and authenticity. As a chosen one, you bring with you this wisdom that cannot be contained or disguised, and by exposing it, even without words, you provoke a silent awakening in others. They can sense, albeit unconsciously, that you are someone who sees reality as it is and not as they want it to be. And this perception is challenging, because it confronts the comfort zone in which many prefer to remain. Imagine that someone is living in a situation with false illusions, perhaps believing in a relationship that isn't authentic or a career that doesn't reflect their true desires. When this person meets a chosen one, even without words, they feel the weight of truth that is in the presence of the one who lives with authenticity and wisdom. This encounter stirs something deep within, causing a sense of exposure. You become, in a way, a mirror that doesn't just reflect what is on the surface, but what is most true, what many try to hide, even from themselves. This wisdom, this clarity with which the chosen ones see the world, touches on areas that for some people are almost sacred, or at least untouchable. It reveals the contradictions, fears, and hidden desires that most people keep well guarded. And even if you don't make judgments, even if you simply exist in an authentic way, the people around you can feel threatened by the intensity of this perception. It's as if, by being around someone who lives this truth, they are forced to confront what they have always tried to ignore. This is a process that requires a lot of courage and openness, and not everyone is ready to deal with it. Therefore, for the chosen ones, this wisdom is both a gift and a challenge. It opens doors to deep connections and also creates barriers, because not everyone is ready to receive the clarity you bring. And even in the face of possible rejection or distancing, the way forward is to continue with this honesty and clarity, respecting everyone's time and knowing that your role is to be a beacon, not an imposing force. After all, those who feel drawn to this wisdom, even from a distance, know that it is there, in this truth, that they can find the impetus to also seek their own authenticity. The journey of a chosen one is not only one of light, it is also a deep dive into one's own shadows. Unlike many, who tend to avoid looking at their most vulnerable sides, the chosen ones know their weaknesses, face their fears, and bear the marks of the transformations this brings. It is this willingness to face their shadows that gives them a rare depth, but which can also cause discomfort in those who are not used to dealing with their own insecurities. The presence of someone who has already faced their wounds and shadows amplifies in others the fear of confronting their own pain, generating reactions of defense, distance, and even antagonism. When a chosen one arrives in an environment, they bring with them the experience of someone who has already descended into the depths and returned renewed, aware of their strengths and limitations. This courage reverberates, even without words, reminding everyone that there is something inside everyone that needs to be recognized and worked on. For those who live without questioning their own wounds, next to a chosen one, these scars take on a new visibility, as if the chosen one's energy were a spotlight directed at what was hidden. This effect is often involuntary, but so intense that it can destabilize those who prefer the comfort of ignoring what ails them. You may have experienced situations in which, simply by being who you are, your presence seemed to arouse feelings of insecurity or even resistance in others, as if your way of seeing the world made them feel exposed. It's common for people who avoid confronting their shadows to feel a natural aversion to those who have already experienced this inner journey. After all, this coexistence subtly reveals that everyone has their own internal battles, and that sooner or later, confrontation with them will be inevitable. Their presence reminds us, even unintentionally, that personal growth requires facing the darkest side of oneself. However, it is important to remember that this projection is not personal. The resistance, discomfort, and sometimes detachment that others show are reactions to their own insecurities and not to you. What often happens is that your energy acts as a trigger, making others confront their own limitations and the aspects of life they would prefer to avoid. For some, this feeling is too heavy to bear, and instead of embracing the learning they could gain from your presence, they prefer to distance themselves. Even so, the energy that a chosen one carries not only serves to generate discomfort, but also to inspire. For those who feel ready, the presence of someone who has already faced their own shadows is an example, a source of inspiration and courage to also dive into their depths. This is the true essence of the power that the chosen ones carry. They show, through their very existence, that it is possible to integrate light and shadow and live in peace with both. There is a strength in the chosen ones that attracts, inspires, and at the same time, arouses a certain fear. This mixture of feelings, ranging from respect to caution, stems from the duality they represent. For many, the chosen ones are beacons that illuminate new paths and reveal possibilities for profound transformation. But at the same time, there is something about the intensity and authenticity of their presence that destabilizes, causing internal tension in those who are still stuck in their own limitations. It is this duality that creates the complex relationship that so many experience with the chosen ones, a connection that oscillates between the desire to get closer and the need to maintain a certain distance. This respect mixed with fear is actually an unconscious recognition of the power of transformation that the chosen ones carry. Their presence, loaded with authenticity and a wisdom that goes beyond convention, makes those around them intuit that by getting closer, their own lives may never be the same again. And for many, this possibility of change, however desirable, also awakens a natural fear of the unknown. After all, transforming implies giving up parts of yourself, old convictions, and even certain comfort zones, which not everyone is ready to do. Think about how many times you've noticed that, even among those who are attracted to your energy, there is a silent wariness. People approach you, seek your advice, feel welcomed by your vision, but at the same time, there is something in their gaze that reflects a certain fear, as if they fear that, by allowing themselves to be influenced by your presence, they will lose something of themselves. This feeling is legitimate, because contact with a chosen one is often an involuntary invitation to reevaluate what one knows, to question what one lives, and perhaps to accept profound changes. The truth is that the chosen ones represent, for many, the courage they are still looking for in themselves. And this courage frightens as much as it inspires. Those who feel this mixture of respect and fear are, in a way, recognizing that the chosen ones touch on aspects of life and the soul that not everyone is ready to explore. They bring a broader vision that is more connected to one's purpose, and this clarity can be both a guide and a reminder of how much there is still to develop. That's why, even with initial resistance, it's common for many to feel compelled to seek out the closeness of the chosen ones, as if they know there's something precious and transformative there. So, while some people hesitate, others end up being attracted by the promise of growth and self-discovery that living with a chosen one can offer. In essence, this ambivalent connection is part of the chosen one's mission: to show others that, despite fears and uncertainties, the journey of self-knowledge and transformation is available to everyone, and that in the end, every step taken with courage is worth it. And so, each chosen one continues their journey, carrying a light that guides and a strength that challenges. This path is one of intensity and purpose, and each of you who feels this call knows that the presence of a chosen one transforms the world around them. If you have felt this truth resonate in your spirit, remember, you are not alone, and there are others like you, awakening to something greater. So, subscribe to the channel to continue receiving this wisdom. Leave your like, share this video with those who need to hear this message, and comment below on what you felt. I'm deeply grateful that you stayed until the end. Together, we are raising our consciousness and strengthening our light. Thank you, and see you at the next meeting.